It's time for the news. And you know what that means, gentlemen? It's time to put on the official news reading specs. There we go. Oh, yes. Fantastic.
This is what I live for.
You're not the only one, Chris. Well, let's start off with some news from DLP Games, which, to my mind, I think I'm most familiar with, Orléans was originally from DLP, if I remember correct. This is a title called Catherine, the Tsarina's City. The Tsarina's Cities. It is from a designer that I'm not familiar with necessarily, but you take on the role of counselors and you're trying to win the favor of the Tsarina, focusing on expansion, the arts, military, trade, unique card system for action selection. So it looks like a dry Euro. And so, Chris, this is screaming Yee time, baby. What are your thoughts on this?
This is my territory for sure. I like the idea of the theme. I half enjoy this cover, you know, the peeking around the door. Wait, it seems.
Well, do you half enjoy it or 1/6 enjoy it? Because that's about all you see is 1/6 of the person there.
That's the weirdest facial expression. I mean, what is that emotion? I mean, it's good. I like it, but what is that emotion? It looks like she's cautiously opening her teenage son's door, not wondering what she's going to find. Basically.
Do you know what emotion that is, Dan and Chris? I've got a word for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Pensive.
She's pensive. I was going to drop the little bit of trepidation on you.
Could be trepidatious, maybe trepidatious, perhaps pensive.
Yeah. Well, but why is she pensive? What's that got to do with the game?
Because everyone's trying to win her favor. Maybe she's, pensive about what's going on. Is it too much expansion? Maybe there's too much arts happening. Maybe not enough military. Perhaps the trade is the issue. I don't know, Dan, but certainly these are compelling questions that demand to be answered.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm excited about it though.
Yeah, I figured it would be something you'd be interested in, Chris. DLP, they've put out some pretty solid Euro games, and it is a theme that has not been overdone by any means. So we'll see.
What interests me. Yeah.
This could be the new fashion. It could be, instead of having glum men on boxes, it could be pensive women. It's the way of the future, Mike.
It's a whole new thing, Dan.
Yeah,
I saw it on TikTok just yesterday, so I know it's hot. All right. Next, we've got a Topic. The game is called Topic. This is being brought from Sit Down Games, but apparently it's a Korean board game designer, and it sounds like a party game. So here's the way it's being described. Players reveal cards from a deck showing a theme and a syllable count. All right. Then everyone quickly needs to come up with a word that matches both of those criteria. Then the last player in the group to come up with that word will take the card. You have a set number of rounds, and whoever has the fewest cards wins. So you're trying not to be the last one out of your group to do this. So I don't know. This could be interesting. I think this is one of those games where maybe people that don't have the strongest vocabulary might feel like they're a disadvantage, or if you're playing with people where maybe they don't share the same first common language, could make it a little bit of a tricky thing. But
I'm someone who has to do syllables on their hands. You know what I mean? I have
to
beat it out.
Right.
Yeah, the same person's going to win every single time. There's not going to be a variation. The person who's best at syllables is going to win.
Yeah.
That's not a problem, I suppose. It might be fun.
I think this is one of those games that'll be fun, even if there's that one person that tends to always win. I think it's more about the fun, raucous atmosphere around the table. I could enjoy, even if it's got that flaw, But
yeah,
it sounds a bit unique. Like this is not a blatant copy of other party games. I like the idea of the syllables and the letter mashup. Or syllables topic.
It's a bit like Anomia, apart from you're adding syllables into the mix.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an Anomia vibe. I agree with that. Yeah, I don't know. I like the depiction of hams on the cover. You've got a ham hock there. You've got a kiwi. You've got some interesting things there. So I don't know.
Yeah, Sit Down is known for the way of the future for board game covers these days, along with pensive women, hams and kiwis.
We are on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yes. As you know, when you drive down the road and road work is happening, there's blue safety cones everywhere.
That means you have to be really careful.
Yeah. Ham hock and kiwis equals angry horse. All right. Next, we've got a re-implementation, a re-theming of a previously released game called Growl, which was a kind of a social deduction riff on Werewolf, and now it's been re-themed into Stranger Things, Attack of the Mind Flayer. So it's a 4 to 10 player game. And it's Repos, actually, that's picking this up, Repos Productions. And it's supposed to be released in May in Europe, August in North America. But yeah, again, it's kind of a riff on Werewolf. And so, I don't know, I think this theme could work for that. I do feel, it does feel a little bit, you know, I don't want to say cash grabby, but there's a little bit of a hint of that there. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it's based on a solid game underneath it all, by the sounds of it, isn't it? So it's better that than a rubbish. And the people who maybe buy a Stranger Things game may not have played a werewolfy type game. So
That's true.
I can see that audience really liking that as well. So so yeah. At least it's not Cthulhu.
That's true.
100%. This is a game that has a market. I don't think it's necessarily us.
No.
Right. And I have to separate that idea, like who even wants this, with the reality of, a lot of people want this, just not me.
No, Stranger Things is too scary for me.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though, in the sense that people that might be interested in Stranger Things and haven't played a lot of modern board games, this would be their introduction to social deduction type games. And a lot of times there are people that like just social deduction games and really have no interest in any other part of the board game hobby. You know what I mean? So this could actually be very appealing to them.
Katharina the Great. Yeah.
They're not going to, right. They don't want anything to do with pensive people, right?
And even when you're new to board games, even if you turn out not to like social deduction games like me, I was all over Resistance right at the beginning of my, you know what I mean? So I think it'd be a really good introduction to modern board games, and for the D&D crowd as well. Stranger Things is popular with the D&D crowd and stuff like that.
That's very true. Very true.
So yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Okay. Well, good. Hey, speaking of IP-based games, now this one is a little bit more interesting to me in the timing of it. We've got a new Firefly board game, a deck-building game called Firefly Misbehavin', coming from Gale Force 9, and they're saying that this is coming right to retail in August of this year, and it's a deck-building game that has a scenario-based episode mode where you can play through the plots of the show, and so I guess my question on this is how, I know that Firefly has a pretty devoted fan base, but enough to support all of these games? I mean, do we really feel like we need another Firefly themed game out there? I don't know.
Wasn't there another deck building Firefly game, the legendary Firefly? Was that? Oh, am I imagining?
Did they have a?
There was a legendary. It is infamous for having the worst artwork of.
Oh, that's right.
Any of the legendary series and most card-based games.
Right. Okay. Because they do narrative very well in deck building as well. I don't know. It's 20 years old. Is Firefly? And there's only 3 episodes. Yet it's still going, isn't it, as an IP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Firefly fine, but I guess I just didn't see it engendering this passionate base that has all of these products, you know?
Well, Gale Force 9 have done other Firefly games as well, haven't they? So maybe they're just milking the last out of that IP, maybe the license. You know, they've still got the license, obviously. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I like Firefly, but I don't think I need that many games about it.
Yeah. This one could be fine. I don't know. It doesn't grab. Also, the cover doesn't grab me. It doesn't feel very Firefly. And I know people complain all the time that we're very petty sounding when we talk about these news announcements, but this is what you have to go off of. A cover's got to sell the game. You know, this doesn't look exciting. This looks like red nebula, yellow kingdom, blue planet. I will play this game, and I will not go into it with some sort of bias, a negative opinion about it. I like the show a lot, but I do have all the same questions. Why now? Why another Firefly game? But hey, it could be great, so we'll see.
we'll keep our eyes open for it. I mean, if it comes through the office, I'm sure we'll play it. So, all right. Next up is Boardgametables.com. They make more than board game tables, folks. They also make a number of board games. And what they're going to be doing here is they have announced new expansions to 4 existing games that they have put out. And so I think this is interesting kind of to do it like this. And this is actually going to be going to crowdfunding, I believe. They've announced a crowdfunding project for these titles. So you've got an expansion for QE, which is a very interesting almost an economic party game, I would say, called, what are they calling this? Commodities. Then you've got an expansion for Kabuto Sumo, which is a kind of a dexterity game, which is almost like the coin pushing mechanism. You've got a expansion for On Tour, which is a roll and write game where you are kind of drawing a map, or drawing a path along a map in the United States, and now you got 2 new maps, Paris and New York. And then you've got Bites, which is the only one. Actually, I haven't played Kabuto Sumo either. I know you have, Chris, but I haven't played Bites. So I really like QE a lot, and I like On Tour, so I'm excited about this. I want to hear what your impressions are on these.
I've only played QE. I would happily play an expansion. I don't know if it needs one, but they've obviously come up with something. I haven't played any of the 3, but it is interesting they're doing a Kickstarter for all 4. Obviously, I'm guessing you will be able to select which one you want and things like that. Right. But I don't know whether the Kickstarter, having all 4 in, will take any attention away from each individual one. But they obviously know what they're doing. I'm no Kickstarter expert. So expansions for some very popular games. I mean, I've heard of Bites. That's the one I haven't heard of.
I've heard it's a very light game.
Older.
Yeah, but
a little bit older. I mean, I think the other 3 are more recent than Bite. I think Bite's is the oldest of these 4, is maybe the way I should say it. Very light, cute little game. You move your person forward and collect different snack foods. I could see that getting an expansion. That one seems easy to throw in. On Tour, I don't know how you'd expand it. Just basically different maps.
I think it's just new maps. They may add some little mechanisms in there, but I bet it's just going to be a couple of new maps.
Okay. Kabuto Sumo sounds really cute thematically, that you can bring in, it's wrestling. He's got the chair. There's chairs and other bits you can push in there, or you can, there's a few mechanisms where you can set something on there on a piece, and when it gets knocked off, you get a benefit. We'll see. The game's so simple. I don't know if I want it expanded and complicated per se.
Yeah.
But QE, I think that's the one I'm most curious about, because it's a stellar game and it's really unique.
It is.
It really is.
And I think the kind of hook, the set your own price thing, is absolutely wonderful. But there's a little bit of weakness on the roll and writey bit. The bits where you're ticking stuff off. So if that is made more gamey, then that could really improve things, I think. I mean, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. I really like it.
Yeah, no, but I turned into Peter Brady. Yeah, I can see that, Dan. It says the commodities adds the ability to diversify by investing in gold, oil, and crypto, and the ability to magically lower the amount you have already spent. Well, there's already something about that annoys me, but I'm still going to keep an open mind. All right.
Yeah, that sounds like something different else to do. Yeah.
Yeah, something to diversify a little bit.
That's what annoys you. You don't like
That's what it is.
You don't like the mention of Superman's dog.
Not a fan of Crypto the Superdog. No, I always felt like he was a hack. I mean,
more of an Ace the Bat Hound kind of person.
Well, I'm more of a Scrappy-Doo fan, if I'm being honest, but that's all right. Okay. Or Scooby-Dum. Oh, Clue. All right. Coming up next, we've got some news in the world of Spirit Island. And this is interesting because what they've done, they being Greater Than Games, the publisher of Spirit Island, is they took their first 2 promo packs, which had some new characters and some cards that went along with them, and they've packaged them together as a retail package now, where it used to be very difficult to get a hold of these periodically. They would go for very high prices on the secondary market. And so now it looks like they're making them readily available to anybody in this Feather and Flame package. So it's going to retail for $34.95. And so you're getting 4 new spirits, a new adversary, 2 scenarios, and other cards. I think that's great. I'm a big fan of Spirit Island. And so I had both of these promo packs at one point. I have to check if I still have them. But I do like that they're going to make it more available to people. They don't have to pay those, overpriced scalped, amounts.
If there's demand for these promo packs, it's really good that they're meeting them at a reasonable price rather than everyone having to pay it through the nose. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Unless you want someone who's just paid through the nose for one, and then this gets announced the next day, and then you're not happy.
Sucker, you got
that.
It
sucks to be you.
Yeah, and it's available on their web store as of today, I believe, or yesterday even.
Okay. Oh, I've only played Spirit Island once. Is that a pretty good amount of new content?
Yes,
that you're gonna
because base game Spirit Island is I believe 4 spirits, if I remember. They've had so many expansions I forgot, but I believe the base game came with 4 spirits. So that's plenty of content.
Okay, cool.
All right, moving on. We don't normally talk about crowdfunding games or games that are going to crowdfunding, but I put this in the news because a couple of things. One, I love the theme, and I absolutely am over the moon with this cover. And Tom said he didn't like the cover. He's wrong, or at least maybe I don't. Were you there, Chris, when he was talking about this? I thought he said he wasn't that taken with it.
Yeah, I think he's very wrong.
He's wrong. This is one of my favorite covers that I've seen in the last 5 years for a board game. I love this kind of it's got this old jazz record vibe. They're clearly playing into that with a little imprint of the vinyl album inside of there. I think this is great. I love music-themed games. There are so few of them. It says here players are playing as jazz musicians, improvising their way through songs. I don't know if the game is going to be any good. It's going to Kickstarter in September. But I love the theme, and I love this cover, so it made it to the news.
It looks really interesting. As you say, I've got no idea the game's any good or not, but it looks novel and a really innovative thing. I mean, playing a game as people improvising a musical song is really good for a theme. A nice, unusual theme.
Yeah, I hope the game matches up with the things. That's the hard thing to do, is represent the fun and interestingness of music. Right. Musicality in a game format.
Although music is ultimately maths, isn't it? You find a lot of mathematicians are musicians because it's ultimately maths. Things sound good if they're in a pattern, don't they?
Yeah, it's a mix between math and feeling, and that's the part, I guess, it's harder to convey is the feeling part of it. I also like the little in the cover here, the different musicians are call outs to different, are kind of what do you call that, like Easter egg type. Like, you got Dave Brubeck there on the piano. I really like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a cool cover. I think Tom's wrong. It's also interesting that I think jazz is becoming a little bit more used of a theme in games, which I'm absolutely fine with. The On Tour expansion takes place in the 20s with jazz musicians. There was Big Easy Busking by Weird Giraffe Games was about jazz buskers and stuff. So I like that. Let's have more of that theme.
It's a new paradigm in board gaming, isn't it? Jazz on the covers of film. Jazz,
pensive jazz musicians. I think jazz maybe works well because of that whole improvisational thing. I think maybe that plays into what you're talking about, Chris, with how you convey feeling, the improv thing. Maybe that's being tactical. You know what I mean? That type of a thing. I don't know. These are very heady questions. All right. In some pretty, I think, heartwarming. Is heartwarming the right word, or just very cool, positive news? The Spiel Foundation, which has been around for many, 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 many years. If you've been to board game conventions, I know Gen Con for sure, they the gentlemen that wear the brightly colored meeple jackets are part of the Spiel Foundation. And they just completed a very large charity project in March. They delivered 2,036 board game bundles that encompassed more than 10,000 board games games total to a variety of different organizations. It said that every bundle contains 5 quality board and card games, and it's given for free. So it's given to places like the Boys and Girls Clubs, hospitals, libraries, shelters, senior centers, and schools. And what's even better is that not only do they just give them the game, but they give them the game that's already prepped for play. They've punched the components and bagged them and assembled them. And they've sent them to 5 different countries: Nigeria, the Philippines, Canada, the UK, Germany, American Samoa, Puerto Rico. 28 different game titles donated from Ravensburger, Bezier, Haba, lots of different companies here. So I think this is just really cool.
Yeah, this is really good, really good. And sending it out to groups that might use it as well, looking at it, sounds really, really productive. Well done, Spiel Foundation.
Yeah, that's great. And this takes a surprising amount of coordination that people might not expect. Especially, some of these places have very big restrictions on what kinds of games they can even accept. We tried to donate games to a children's hospital before, and they said every piece has to be able to be bleach sanitized in between plays. So it takes, it's not just, we got a bunch of games and we ship them out. There's more planning and strategy that goes into how to do these types of endeavors than people might think. So huge hats off and congrats for that.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, moving on to the digital board gaming realm, and Root Digital, which is the app version of Root, which in my mind is the very best board game implementation in app form. That's my opinion. I think that Direwolf did this, and it is, I think, the best digital board game. They've added some new stuff. They've added the new Vagabond characters. I think they've even added the Exiles and Partisans, which is like a replacement set of cards for the game that have been available in the physical form, and now they're in the digital form, which is fantastic. And now I'm terrified because I'm hoping I was right that it is Direwolf. I think Direwolf did this, but if I'm wrong, I apologize. Yeah, Roy says yes. So there you go. Have either of you guys played Root Digital?
No.
Yes. A lot of it.
It's great. It's so good. Dan, have you played Root at all? Have you played the physical Root?
I played it once. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was all right. I mean, I can see the appeal of the digital one, because you don't have to teach 5 different people the rules every single time.
Right.
But not that there's anything wrong with Root, but it's just one of those games that it's got quite a large teach time.
It's got a learning curve for sure. Yeah. But I'm glad to see that I'm glad to see they're still supporting it. That's good news. All right, now we've got a couple of pieces of news from Spielworks. The first is a very interesting title and cover. This is London Necropolis Railway. This is it's a limited edition of 1,000 copies. Apparently, it could be pre-ordered on the Spielworks website on March 15th, but I think that's probably mostly for Europe, would be my guess. I don't know that for sure. You might be able to order it outside of that. But they're saying in the U.S., this is going to be a game that's available via the BGG store. So they say this train game that isn't a train game. So I'm not sure what that means, but I am intrigued by the cover, and so I don't know.
What does that Latin say, Mike? You're a Latin expert. What does that mean?
Death something, life something. Life and death would be my guess. Mortis and Vivus would be life and death, but I don't know what the keys and the solus. Living soul, the dead something, living souls maybe? I'm not sure. There might be somebody in the chat that knows Latin.
Souls, maybe. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
it could be. I know if,
Sorry.
Spirit Trains.
What were you going to say?
Spirit Trains are a great, American folklore thing, and maybe even other countries. I'm not sure, but that's interesting. Spielworks did that second edition of Ground Floor the same way, where you had to order it through their website, or in the United States through the Board Game Geek store. They've done some of these limited print run games before, and I'm finding that I do enjoy train games, and so this one that advertises itself as that isn't quite a train game. I'm intrigued. Daniel Newman also did the Dead Man's Cabal, so he likes this a little bit more, funny, macabre kind of a theme. So
yeah,
I'm very interested.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So from Spielworks, and I just got done saying we don't talk about crowdfunding projects, but I'm talking about this one because this is, to my knowledge, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. This is the first game by acclaimed designer Uwe Rosenberg that has gone the crowdfunding route. And so this is going to, I believe, GameFound.
It's on GameFound, yeah.
It's on GameFound right now, correct?
Right
a 1 to 2 player game by Uwe Rosenberg. Oranienburger Kanal? Do you think I said that anywhere close to correct?
Probably not. No.
As an American, it's as close as you'll get.
Probably,
I'm very excited by this because there's canals around my way. So if Uwe is suddenly starting to do canal games, maybe finally we could get that Huddersfield board game that everyone's been clamoring for.
They've been clamoring.
Yeah.
They've been clamoring. Are you a fan of Uwe games, Dan? Have you played many?
I played a fair few. I'm a fan of some of them. Yeah. I prefer his lighter ones than his these heavier ones.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah,
this might be up your alley then. This is a 1 or 2 player, 45 to 60 minute game.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's a looker. So
you got that
it looks all right. Looks all right.
It at least has a very distinct, stylized look. I don't know if it's the most attractive cover in the world to me, but I don't know. It looks like at least it's thoughtful, and there was a lot of design work that went into it.
It's a bit of a mishmash, isn't it? Very industrial. Then you've got the kind of Art Nouveau stuff going on around the sides. So,
yeah.
So it's just
intriguing.
Yeah.
All right, so these last 2 pieces of news are on here for Chris Yee and the rest of you folks, but we've got some Phil Walker Harding news, and I think that it's fair to say that Phil Walker Harding is a designer that Chris has a lot of affinity for. I happen to like a lot of his games as well. So Blue Orange Games is going to release Museum Suspects directly into U.S. retail in 2022. And it says that players must sort through suspects to figure out who committed a crime. There's a single thief hiding amongst 16 suspects. You select a clue, put a price on it, and then keep track of it in your notebook. So there's some bluffing involved. Some betting involved. It looks like it's being marketed towards families, would be, I think a fair thing to say. So I'm intrigued. Blue Orange and Phil Walker Harding is a combination that has done some pretty good stuff. Retailing for $20 too.
Can you? I've got a lot of faith in Blue Orange and Phil Walker Harding. It's a bluffing game, and I'm wondering how well a bluffing game works with a mixed staged group. But then again, as I say, I've got a lot of faith in Blue Orange and Phil Walker Harding. Both have a lot of thought into their games and stuff, so I'm sure it works out. But it will be interesting to play a bluffing game with Cora, for example, because you know what I mean. The mixed age groups have different. Bluffing is quite a sophisticated skill, ultimately.
Yeah, it is.
But you got to learn it. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm very curious about this one, but I don't want to say trepidatious or intimidated or anything like that. I need to drop.
Are you pensive?
I'm pensive. I kind of what Dan's saying. Like it seems like it'd be a good family weight game. This company and this designer tends to be able to have a game that's distilled down to the most crucial aspects of that game that still makes it really fun and thoughtful. So I mean, I'm gonna play it, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and the cover's doing its job because we have some people in the chat saying that everybody on that cover looks pretty sus. And I agree. Personally, that turtle has definitely destroyed a home within the last day or two, that tortoise.
I would say so.
All right, and now continuing on with some pretty big Phil Walker Harding news. He's, and I believe along with his wife, co-founded by, it says Phil and Meredith Walker Harding. I'm assuming it's wife, but it could be, who knows, it could be a sister. But anyway, he has started a new board game studio called Joey Games. And this is going to be focused on a couple of different things. Number one, it's going to be focused on Australia and their culture, their environment, their wildlife, and their people. And they're also working towards sustainability, environmental sustainability in the production of their projects and in the design of their projects as well. And they've announced their first 3 games. Now, I've made a point of saying that we don't typically talk about crowdfunding projects, and we've had 3 of them in the news. But this goes beyond that, because this is the establishment of a new board game company by a designer. And so I think this is very interesting. Busy Beaks, Scribbly Gum, and Pass the Party Food. And again, they're all kind of related to Australian culture. And so I think this is a really, again, a cool idea. I'm excited to see kind of where this goes.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I just realised that my mother's Australian, and that Pass the Party Food game, they've got fairy bread on there, which is basically sprinkles on top of bread and butter.
Yes.
Which I used to have at every single birthday party I ever had, and all my friends thought was the weirdest thing in the world ever. So that's really warmed the cockle of my heart. I got a little bit of a nostalgia kick there.
Yeah,
I think this is fantastic. I really do. I think all its aims are great. The expanding of Australian culture, and focusing on that. I think the environmental concerns, the bringing it to children. So I think it's wonderful. I'm up for this. I'm up for it.
Yeah.
And in true Australian fashion, Pass the Party Food has fairy bread and pastels and all these delicious looking foods and deadly snakes.
Sure, of course. Yeah, you've got to have something venomous at every meal, or else you're truly not doing it right.
But no,
this is very cool.
I will say, I'm going to be very blunt and say that if I saw these covers from any other company, I would not be interested. Knowing what this is.
That might be the point, though. These look like games that you might pick up at a mainstream toy store to play with your young children, and that might be what they're going for.
Or a museum gift shop. Yeah, right. Yeah, it looks like something you'd find at like a children's museum. Gift shop.
Exactly,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're. I think Pass the Party Food is age 6+, Scribbly Gum is 8+, and the Busy Beaks is 10+. So they're going for kids' age games, and they're looking for things that are family playable. It goes into everything that I think Phil Walker Harding does well as a designer, and now I'm interested to see his philosophy as a publisher as well as a company. And so it's because of all those things that I look at those covers and say, oh, okay, I would pass on this normally, but I know there's some substance behind it. This is not a cheap cash grab, so I'm really excited about this.
And really good branding as well, because if you buy one and like it, you're going to look at the other ones and think, oh, well, that's the same.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah.
They're definitely 100%. Going for a consistent style across the board. And I agree with you, Dan. Yeah, I think that's setting yourself up well. If you're coming out with a good initial slate of games, and I assume that he's probably not going to put out garbage, then you're setting yourself up for continued success. So
and we keep saying he, but it is both.
Yes, both. They. Thank you, Chris. You're correct.
Phil and Meredith Walker, because Meredith is doing the one doing the graphic design and stuff. So that should be that should be pointed out. That's great.
Which is what we're complimenting. So yes, it should be pointed out. Yeah.
Well done, Chris. I'm feeling especially pensive now. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the news. We've got some more great contributors, and then we're going to come back to wish you a fond farewell. But don't go away just yet. Stick around for those contributors.